130,000 Russian troops surround Ukraine on three sides tonight, as the White House again indicates an invasion is coming and coming at any moment. The White House announcing just a few hours ago that Biden and Putin will talk on the phone tomorrow morning. The dictator, who made a strong move against Ukraine during Obama's second term, then was on his best behavior with Trump at the helm, is again emboldened by weak American leadership. That's where we're at tonight. Our chief White House correspondent, James Rosen, joins us now from Washington. James, good to see you. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan telling all Americans in Ukraine to leave the country within the next 48 hours and providing this warning. Take a look.
If you stay, you are assuming risk with no guarantee that there will be any other opportunity to leave, and no prospect of a U.S. military evacuation in the event of a Russian invasion.
So there we have it, James. The first thing everybody's wondering right now, is it real this time? Because this buildup has been happening now for so many months. Your thoughts?
Rob, good evening. The very fact that the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan placed that time frame on his call for Americans to leave Ukraine, 24 to 48 hours, offers some sense of the urgency, the sobering reality of the prospect of imminent military conflict. You can believe your own eyes, Sullivan said, citing the fact that the deployments of Russian troops and weapon systems are out there in the open thanks to satellite imagery being released practically every day by private companies, among them Maxar Technologies, the Colorado-based intelligence firm. These images have enabled U.S. officials to assess, as Sullivan told reporters at the White House today, this one among them, that new forces have been arriving at the Ukrainian border. Lastly, Rob, even top Ukrainian officials who had been rebuking U.S. officials for alarmist language have now shifted their tone, noting that they are surrounded by hostile forces.
Interesting. You know, Biden, in partnership with our allies, urging Putin for diplomacy, as they have been, but it seems like that game may have run out at this point. At the same time, though, we're sending 3,000 troops to Poland. The one thing everybody wants to know is whether the U.S. will really stay on the sidelines if Putin moves in. I mean, they've said forcibly that this is not going to be a war in Ukraine moment for us. But I guess there's just a lot questioning whether or not we're really just going to sit there and watch as Russia just moves in and takes a country and just be there to ensure that it doesn't go any further than that.
NBC News released excerpts this morning, Rob, from President Biden's forthcoming Super Bowl interview with anchor Lester Holt. And in those comments, the president warned that if U.S. and Russian troops start shooting at each other, quote, that's a world war. That said, while U.S. troops might sit back and watch such an invasion, U.S. officials at State, Treasury, and other agencies and American allies across Europe would not sit idle. President Putin knows that an invasion is not a cost-free proposition for him. In addition to Russian casualties, he knows he would suffer the loss of access to the world's financial system. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline for natural gas to Germany would be blocked from coming online. That would deliver a significant blow to Russia's ailing economy, which is heavily dependent on energy exports. This is why a number of analysts believe, Rob, that there may not be an invasion, if only because President Putin has already effectively achieved some of his objectives. The world hangs on his every word. His European counterparts are parading through Moscow, appealing to him, and he may yet secure some concessions on security matters. So we could see this state of siege around Ukraine, with war hanging in the balance, persist for some time to come.
It's interesting. It's interesting to follow. James Rosen, thank you so much for clearing it up for us. Good to see you.
Thank you, Rob.
All right, so that really is the biggest concern on our end, if you're looking at this from the American point of view, is simply ensuring that the White House sticks to the plan, right, that they've promised to Americans, that our troops are poised to not do a single thing about this potential invasion, that we're really just there to defend against any moves against our actual NATO allies. Here's a bit more from the National Security Advisor.
As we've said before, we are in the window when an invasion could begin at any time, should Vladimir Putin decide to order it. But I do want to be clear. It could begin during the Olympics, despite a lot of speculation that it would only happen after the Olympics.
Well, obviously, this White House is happy to have a distraction. We're going to talk more about that. But just yesterday, Putin's army began military drills with Belarus. Drills happening literally right at the northern border of Ukraine, right on top of their heads. Some analysts saying that these drills could be some sort of a guise for an invasion. We could also see perhaps a very familiar move by Russia, which deals a lot in deception and a lot of BS, frankly. You could see Russia perhaps move in, Ukraine rightfully fight back, and then Russia just claimed that they were attacked by Ukraine and claimed that they had a right to defend themselves. Putin knows nobody wants a war, and perhaps he thinks all he needs is plausible deniability to keep Ukraine's allies from stepping in to help in the fight against him. And even with all of this rapid development, Biden actually headed to Camp David today, not staying the weekend at the White House. His departure actually interrupted his national security advisor's briefing.
The president's departure is at 2:25, and
Yeah.
so if people want to leave, they need to leave now.
If people want to leave, they should leave now. We'll proceed.
So let's be perfectly honest. There's no one that Putin would rather have in the White House right now than Joe Biden. And not that you need this reminder, but another example of politicians saying literally anything to get elected. How funny does this sound with what we know now?
Because Putin knows if I am president of the United States, his days of tyranny and trying to intimidate the United States and those in Eastern Europe are over. I'm going to stand up to him. He's a bully, just like the president. And I know he doesn't want me to be president, but to tell you what, when I'm president, things are going to change.
Yeah, they sure changed. Putin spent the Trump administration playing air hockey with Dmitry Medvedev, and now he's poised to take over an entire country. It is a problem of leadership. The Russians are just simply not afraid of the American political class. America has gone very soft. It's painfully obvious. The Russians watch us melt down over gender issues and riot over criminals who are being abused by police. We are a laughing stock. And while there's a reasonable chance Biden would love a conflict distraction right now, it's certainly, no doubt, a better time to make this move than when Trump was in the White House, a strong man who was completely unpredictable. Putin knows every move Biden is going to make a week before he makes it. President Ice Cream and a staff of lifelong D.C. office dwellers who make decisions like this based on focus group results. Here's a headline from Town Hall. Just this week, a new 2,000-page report resulting from an Army investigation into Biden's disastrous and deadly withdrawal from Afghanistan revealed previously unreported and damning information about how Biden botched the final days of the U.S. presence in Afghanistan. Essentially, the Biden White House somehow didn't take the Taliban seriously as they conquered Afghanistan village by village on their way right into Kabul. They all saw it coming and nobody thought it was happening. It was astonishingly inept, total incompetence and utter embarrassment, and yet it is par for the course with this White House. We've seen this for a year. When confronted with those details by NBC's Lester Holt, here is how Biden responded. This was horrendous. Take a look.
Does any of that ring true to you?
No. No. That's not what I was told.
I just want to clarify, are you rejecting the conclusions or the accounts that are in this Army report?
Yes, I am.
So they're not true?
I'm rejecting them.
No. I mean, you sold? The State Department says there's about 7,000 Americans registered with the embassy in Ukraine right now. They've been told to leave, and they won't be rescued if they don't get out before a war